Hey everybody, this is for assignment 5.10. You should have already gotten started with this with me, and this is just a reference, and I will be there kind of backing you up, but then also in case I am not there and you need some help, hopefully this will give you some guidance. At the bottom of the Google Classroom post, you will see the source that we're using, as well as there should be this assignment that you're looking at right here with my cursor on that should be attached to your name. Also, slide 133 kind of gives you a brief overview, but you really shouldn't need that one because that's the basic instructions that you're looking at on Google Classroom. But you're definitely going to want to make sure you have the source open. You're going to need to accept all cookies, and then make sure that you have your Bruised Borders assignment sheet open. And you'll notice that in the title, the link is there. So there's no reason why you shouldn't find it. It's going to be really important, everybody, that you read the overall goal and then also that you read these following steps. The website is also linked here. Please, please, please make sure that you pay attention to what's highlighted here in blue, because that's what I'm going to be looking at. And there's quite a few that ask you to explain your thinking. What I want you to do more than anything before you even get started on the WebQuest assignment itself is take a brief 1 to 2 minute independent exploration of this site, as far as paying attention to the pictures, captions, different quotes, different backgrounds, different titles. And then something else that while you are working is if you need to go back to certain spots, you'll notice that there is a toolbar that has all of the different headings on. So in case you get lost, you can always go back and look at that, and then you can pay attention in the assignment to see what headings there are. For instance, here's ceasefire borders, here's islands, and then these little ones, structures, and then Nagorno-Karabakh, they are within certain headings as well. Okay? So remember, some questions are going to ask you to read these sections here. Other questions, you're going to have to study the images or even studying the maps. All right? So the photos themselves, those aren't the only things that are important. Sometimes these maps in the background, these are like what some of your questions are built around. So read each question carefully. I can tell you for a fact that this map of the Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia region, that definitely there is a question that is very much involved around this. All right, so the Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, there's definitely some questions around that one. These white spaces right here are bodies of water. So if you need to look at the world map, or if you need to look up on a political map of where these locations are so that you can think about the physical and natural geography that maybe increases the strength of these borders, and also well, you can always look it up. So read each question carefully. Some things you may struggle to answer because you're going to have to do a lot of critical thinking here, and you're going to have to connect a lot to things we've learned this year. So a couple of things that you can always go back to are any of the work that we did studying maps. That was roughly Unit 4, beginning of Unit 4. So I think 4.1 through 4.3, something like that. Those were all around geographic tools, but you could even go back to what we've looked at and learned about with ancient civilizations closer to the beginning of the year. If you need to study or if you need to look something up online, I'm not against that, but I don't want you to get carried away. I also want you to really think about asking 3 before you ask me, in the sense that your thinking may not be complete. You may not be able to make 100% sense out of what the question is asking, but at the same time, there's got to be at least a couple of other classmates that have an idea of how to successfully answer the question. A lot of these bruised borders have historical context, like cultural tensions. So the introduction paragraphs are going to be really valuable to read. But then also there's going to be a lot of human and physical geography that either strengthens or weakens different border disputes. And the introductory paragraph is going to be a great place for you to start off. So make sure that you read that. And luckily, if you start at the very, very beginning and just work your way through in order, you should be good. If you're within a section, You can jump around questions, but honestly, do each section in order as far as start at the introduction and then go on next to the ceasefire borders and then get down to the islands piece. But when you're within each of these bigger sections, you can jump around and do other things. I just don't want you to get lost. There's certain keywords to pay attention to. Something like this has two different questions that you'll need to answer in the boxes, all right? You can always email me if you have any specific questions. There is a question specifically of something you may want to research. For instance, this right here, you may need to get a little more context on that, so you could look it up. Same thing with the cactus curtain. You could possibly look that up as far as the naval base on the island of Cuba. But again, I don't want you to get carried away. Same thing with the islands. You may want to look at more specific areas. Some of you, if you can remember what you did for your political conflict with the Development of Societies Unit 2 assessment, where you had to study some kind of a political conflict using that one map, you could also go back to that one as well. I believe that was the end of Unit 2. I can't remember which assignment that specifically is, but it's probably like 2 point something. I think 2.10 maybe, but that is the Development of Societies assessment. So you could also look back at that, and you could possibly look at that source to see if there's anything that could help you. Those two things, as far as what we did for the Unit 2 exam, and then also this exploration right here, there's a lot of similarities with them. The biggest difference between the two is the Unit 2 exam was focused mainly on political conflicts, whereas this one is looking at the tensions within borders between countries. There is definitely some overlap in themes. Some of the main themes to keep in mind while you're doing through this are human and physical geography as far as strengths and weaknesses, what helps this issue and what hurts this issue. And then another theme would have to be using geographic tools. Another theme with that also could be political conflict, economic impacts, and then also just simply locations. So I know I've given you a lot right now. This right here, hopefully you have gotten a good start on. So if you're not in class finishing it up, then you will have enough to go off of. The last thing where it says South China Sea, now it's your turn. This is where you are essentially going to look at the South China Sea specifically. You're going to look at that section. You're going to go through this using any of these captions, any of these maps, and you are essentially going to be the one to create the questions. And then you're going to want to have a partner answer those. So you're going to create the questions first using the South China Sea section, and then you're going to want to have a partner see if they can successfully answer them. Use the same format as far as like this question, I want you to study the map, and then it's telling you specifically what I want you to do as you study the map. So use that format specifically as well. You could say other options could be like read the caption, study the map, briefly do your own research, read all parts of the section before you give me a summary. Those are all options of what you could write down for this section. And after you have these questions written, then you'll switch with a partner, and then you'll see if they can write down good answers to them. And then afterwards you can discuss. The instructions are all there. You can email me specifically. This should be enough to get you going. And I will also be pointing out specific things during class time. If you get all the way down to this, I want you to give it a shot. You are not necessarily going to be graded off if this section doesn't work out well. I will say, though, these sections right here, everything before then, you should be able to figure it out. Some of you may need to do some of your own research, and again, don't get carried away on that. If you need to look up for historical context or a little more background on a topic, that is fine, but really you're going to want to take at maximum about 5 minutes. That's where the Ask 3 Before Me rule is going to really, really help you. Not only are you an individual completing this assignment, but you are also a community looking out for each other. So please, please, please try to treat that as such. And hopefully we get a good start in class time so that you won't even need to worry about it. Hopefully everything goes well, and I will talk to you guys soon.